Hey guys, what is going on? So I wanted to talk about a video that Greg Doucette, or however you say his last name, just made talking about Zion Williamson. So he makes his debut tonight. He made this video and he talks about basically that he thinks he's natural. Now he goes, I'm going to go into a little bit more detail later, but basically he says that his FFMI is over 25, which a lot of people say is impossible if you're natural. I disagree, he disagrees, and he gives numbers to say that his FFMI is 26 point something and how that's achievable naturally. I agree, it is achievable naturally, but you're starting to get into that red flag area. Now, I want to go ahead and throw some numbers that maybe people weren't thinking about. So I'm going to go ahead and record my screen here. Now, I don't know what calculator he used to calculate FFMI, but I'm going to go ahead and say 6'6", which is what he's actually listed as. Greg says, I'm going to be generous and say 6'8". That actually lowers his FFMI. I don't know if he was doing that in a sneaky way, but that lowers his FFMI, so I don't understand that. 285 pounds, that's the number he put in. That's the number I'm going to put in. And 14%, which is the number that he said. Now, I would agree that his body fat percentage is probably 15 to 20. That's what Greg said. I agree. I'm guessing it's probably like 16 to 18. That's probably where I would put it, but I probably don't know as much as he does, but 15 to 20 seems pretty accurate, and so we'll go to that later, but the number that he gave was 14%. If you calculate it, FFMI is going to be 28.324. Normalized is going to be 27.182. I don't know what number he used. I don't know what normalized FFMI is, but this is clearly almost 2 full points higher than the number that he said. And this is using actual height as opposed to 6'8". Now, again, initial argument's probably going to be, well, he's probably not 14, he's probably closer to 20. I agree, and he's probably not 20, but he's probably close to 20. So let's go ahead and say 20. And that still puts him at 26.348 for just normal FFMI. And again, I don't know about normalized, I don't know what that is, but that still is over 25. Now I think 20 is higher than it is. I would say probably it caps out at, 18 or 19 or something like that. Let's go ahead and put 17. That's something that I think is a little bit more, that's probably more accurate to me. And that puts him at 27.336. Now, the argument's going to be, okay, he can be over that, and he uses himself as an example, saying he was over 26 when he was competing. But Greg had been competing for many years, lifting for many years, and he was a bodybuilder. He wasn't a basketball player, and he says he has superior genetics. And so for a superior genetic bodybuilder who's been training for many years to have a over 26 FMI, I do think is possible. For a 19-year-old kid who is not a bodybuilder, who is a basketball player, to have an FFMI of probably 27 plus, maybe even 28, and 19 years old, who clearly, based on what he was talking about with gaining 8 pounds, he probably wasn't super crazy about lifting and is probably more focused on basketball, is my guess. Now, maybe he spends all his time in the weight room, doesn't care about basketball, and he's just so athletic it doesn't matter. But I'm guessing he spends more time with basketball and isn't entirely focused on gaining muscle. Now, if you look at other numbers that have been provided for his height and weight, it said he was 6'3" when he was a freshman, so let's just call him 14 years old. I think he's like me where he's a little bit younger for his grade. 14 years old when he was a freshman, 14 years old, 6'3", 175. His junior year, they said he had a crazy growth spurt and he gained all this weight. Went to 6'6", 230 pounds as a 16-year-old. So in 2 years, did that. 55-pound gain. Sounds crazy, but that's something that I actually did. I grew 3 inches between my freshman and junior year, and I also gained 55 pounds. So that's a realistic thing, but I was really in the weight room. I was spending way more time in the weight room than I was on the basketball court. And my genetics are pretty good. His are obviously better, but still, I think that's fathomable. Now, you look at 230 pounds at 6'6", so he hasn't grown since then. And if he has, maybe he was actually 6'5", and they wanted to say he was 6'6". I don't know. But let's just say he hasn't grown. Maybe he's grown an inch. And he's put on 55 pounds since then. So for me, I've probably gained 5 pounds of muscle since I was a junior in high school. I don't know. Maybe, let's call it 15. Zion Williamson, if he put on, out of the 55 pounds, let's say 30 of them were fat, he put on 25 pounds after that, And Greg says, why would he do this? Why would he be on steroids if he was in the NBA, he was about to go in the NBA? My guess is that after he had that huge growth spurt, put on a ton of weight, he realized, look at what this did for my game. Let me do this when I'm 16 years old. I don't know about you, but I went to a school where we had very high level athletes and nobody got drug tested. They don't do that in high school. I don't even know if they do that in college, but they weren't doing that to any of us. Nobody ever drug tested me. And so for him to take it after he realized that he gained all that muscle and he got super popular, for him to go on a year or two of steroids, or I don't know how long he would have done it, when he was 16 makes absolute sense. And I'm not saying he did this, but to say that he's natural when he is not a bodybuilder, he's a basketball player. He probably still has several years to gain even more muscle if he wanted to. And he's already 27, 28 points for the FFMI. I don't think he's natural. I don't know when he took anything. I don't know if he took anything. I don't know how long, but I don't think he's natural. That's just my opinion though. And I just want to throw that out there. So